1 day left until I'm riding every roller coaster in the UK. That's 120 roller coasters across 32 different theme parks. Let's have one last check of the final route so you can see if your local park is included. On the site, you'll be able to track everything as we go, and you can see here are all of the stops across the map. We're going to be starting at Flamingo Park in Hastings. They have one roller coaster called Pinball X. Then we've got to hot foot it across to Brighton Pier. There is Turbo and Crazy Mouse on the pier. But what I didn't realize when we were planning is that Saturday the 2nd of August is also the Pride Parade Day in Brighton, which is one of the best but busiest days of the year. So I'm going to have to navigate the crowds on the pier, and it's difficult because we've also got to get across then to our third park of the day, which is Funland on Hayling Island, before we then head to Clarence Pier, the fourth park of the first day. Day 2 starts at Paultons Park, but after Paultons Park we need to rush across to Creeley Adventure Park on the same day, which is at least a 2.5 hour drive, probably more in the summer traffic, and then be ready the next day to be in North Devon to go to Milky Way Adventure Park and Big Sheep. And also on Monday morning at 7:30 a.m. I'm going to be live on Heart Breakfast with Amanda Holden and Jamie Theakston, so make sure you tune in and listen to find out how it's been so far. That same day we're going to head across to Breen Theme Park before the next day heading to Barry Island. This is another mammoth day that is going to have over 8 hours of driving. We've got to go from Barry Island across to Gateway Resort before we then head up to North Wales to go to Zipworld to ride their alpine coaster. Then we're heading to Funland in Tir Prince before heading south that night to get ready to go to West Midlands Safari Park the next day. And on the same day as that, we'll be heading to Drayton Manor. After Drayton Manor, we hit Alton Towers, where we'll spend the whole day there. And then that night, we'll drive up to Blackpool to be ready to take on both Blackpool Pleasure Beach and South Pier. Then we'll have to drive to Glasgow because we're going to be flying over to Belfast. There's an alpine coaster in Belfast to ride. And also, I'm going to add Emerald Park from Dublin, even though it's Ireland, just because if I'm flying over for a whole day, why wouldn't I hop across the border and try out the old Tayto Park? Once we fly back from Northern Ireland, we then end up in Midlothian near Edinburgh to ride their alpine coaster in Scotland before we start heading down the east coast, starting with Ocean Beach Pleasure Park near Newcastle before we then go further south all the way down to Flamingo Land. I've never been to Flamingo Land, really excited to give Sick a go because I hear really good things. Then going even further south down to Skegness to take on 2 of the parks in Skegness. And that is where we then start to hit the Suffolk and Essex coast, where we'll be doing Yarmouth, Pleasure Beach and Pleasurewood Hills in Great Yarmouth as well. The next day we'll be heading down to Clacton to do Clacton Pier before we head over to Adventure Island in Southend. And then we start getting to the big ones. I'll be going to Chessington, and on the same day as Chessington I'll hop over to Legoland to do the coasters there before ending at Thorpe Park, where I'll ride Hyperia, the UK's tallest and fastest coaster, as my final ride of the challenge. All we've got to do is pray to the operations gods. Don't forget, you can see exactly where I'm going to be on the website. The link is on my profile. And if you're going to be at one of those parks, let us know in the comments.